crap behind me.
Judd's definitely in his home studio today here on A Wrap with Reusse.
What a country.
God bless America. What's on your mind today, Pat?
What is on my mind today? I was down at Faribault Thursday, for they had the state amateur baseball tournament starts Friday. Reavers is one of the guys from Faribault running the thing. Faribault, Dundas, and Meesville are hosting it, but Billy Nelson, who runs the Dundas Dukes, and he doesn't run them anymore, but he did for years, managed to get 60-some former MVPs to show up for a dinner last night at the American Legion Club in Faribault, including Izzy. Izzy was there. Steiny was there. They were both there. So
Jim Eisenreich?
Eisenreich
Go Huskies.
Wow.
In 1984, he went home real early that year. The Tourette's got him bad right early. He regained his eligibility to as an amateur. They reinstated kind of an emergency reinstatement, and he ended up leading Boudreaux's Bar from St. Cloud to the state Class B championship in '84.
Wow.
And he's really good. He's talkative. He won't shut up now. He used to be this reticent kid, but that was one of his lines. He and Steiny both talked to the group for 6-7 minutes, maybe. And one of the things he said, if you would have had me here when I was 25, I wouldn't have said 3 words. Now I won't shut up. He said. So, he's got 4 kids in Kansas City, and one of his sons is a Broadway aspirant as a musical and singing, performer. Did a lot of stuff in Kansas City, and he's doing good. So that was fun to see, and I think I'm gonna write something on him for Saturday or Sunday on that Izzy's fine. I went down and saw him in Kansas City years back, 20 years ago maybe, and he was doing good then. So
I interviewed him, Pat, when I went because he obviously went to St. Cloud, and I covered the baseball team and traveled with them a lot. And I interviewed him once for like a thing on the school paper, and I think I ended up talking to him for like 35 minutes. I mean, it was he was just blabbering away. It was awesome. I loved talking with him, but the guy loved to talk.
Yeah, God, could he hit too.
Good player.
One of the things I'm going to write is we would have never heard of Dan Gladden if Eisenreich hadn't had Tourette's, because he would have been leading off playing left field.
Wow,
because he
interesting.
I don't know. You guys were kids when he came up here, or Phil wasn't. Phil and Declan weren't even born yet.
I remember him. I remember him with the Phillies as a kid. I had no recollection of him as a twin whatsoever. Yeah.
Well, the funny thing is, not the funny thing is, but the odd thing was when he had the Tourette's real bad and he couldn't hardly keep from pacing, and they were driving him crazy in Boston and places like that. When he was batting, that one little tick, when the pitch came, everything straightened out, and he could still hit. Because the idea of hitting the baseball took over his mind and wiped out all this other stuff that was going on, and he could still hit. Left-handed hitter could run like the wind, man. He was also, I forgot about this, but he was a World Series champion as a super utility player, bat off the bench with the 1997 Florida Marlins. Yeah, I loved Leyland. And, he was with the Phillies in 93, and they affectionately called him Dahmer because they thought he looked like Jeffrey Dahmer. And with that irreverent group of Phillies, I said, "Are you going to have a 30-year reunion next year for that World Series team in Philly?" He said, "I hope so." Except, some of those guys are. Dalton has died, but Dalton wasn't even the goofiest guy.
Well, John Kruk, Lenny Dykstra.
Mitch Williams was on that team.
Mitch Williams.
God.
He said Mitch Williams was by far the craziest. But
Kurt Schilling, too, was their ace, wasn't he?
Yes. Mm-hmm. But the other thing is, Dalton wasn't even the craziest, and he ended up believing we lived in an alternate universe. Remember that his deal was that this was all just in our imagination, and we actually were living on some other alternate. And he wasn't even the goofiest Philly, so that was quite a group.
Sometimes I think that might be true, but
yes.
And Dalton's wife worked at a Hooters and was like a model, right? And I think her picture was plastered on the right field wall in Clearwater.
Clearwater, they had his wife well-endowed wife in her Hooters outfit on the right field fence, and Dalton's a catcher.
The well-endowed wife in her Hooters outfit.
Show us your
God,
cans.
he was a good player, man. As a catcher, he was a hell of a player. He was a big, physically strong guy. He could hit. He only lasted 7 or 8 years, but he was. That was one of my favorite opposing teams, because I had it in with Reusse and Pod. So you couldn't get in the clubhouse before the game, but with Reusse and Pod, I could go in and sit in their office and BS with them for an hour and a half in the middle of the afternoon. So.
Pod must have loved that team, man. That was right up his alley for sure.
Go over to the locker and have a cigarette and talk to him a little about pitching. Pod was dried out by then, but he'd only drink about 14 non-alcoholic beers a day just for the old days. He was the greatest too.
Pat, I keep seeing on these websites, like ESPN has the White Sox still with a 45% chance to make the playoffs, and they don't all love the Twins. And so I keep looking on paper and seeing, the White Sox, when are they going to wake up? And then when you actually watch them, Tony La Russa is being reminded by fans which pinch hitters and runners to use, and they're getting beat 21-6 by the Astros.
And the bottom part, I looked at the box score this morning. The bottom part of that lineup is like the Twins was on this last road trip. There's nothing down there. And Eloy has not turned out to be what he was supposed to be, and he's hurt on and off. Robert is Robert even playing yet? I don't even know. He's in and out. I don't think he's playing yet. And he wasn't in the box score today anyway. I didn't see. And I just, some years the biorhythms just aren't right. And this is not a year that they've had their act together. I was listening to their game the other day. They rallied twice to beat the Astros, and Stone and his partner were both saying, this is the happiest and liveliest the crowd has been all year, because this is, they basically admitting that everybody had been down on this team, and all of Sox neighborhood was down on them something fierce. So
Stone is biting his tongue a lot this year. He wants to say what he thinks, and he knows he'll be fired if he does.
Yes, although Reinsdorf is got so much criticism for hiring him in the first place, and he's such a hard-headed, ornery old SOB that the more they tell him they have to fire him, the less likely it is that he's going to fire them. So I think so. But the trouble is, what are you going to do without Mahle? What are you?
What's the latest? So he's got.
They say that there's nothing wrong, and he's unlikely to miss a turn. Do you think they're really going to run him out there against the Astros next Tuesday?
No, he'll sit for at least 2 weeks.
And it's a shoulder, which concerns me.
That's what I would sit him for 2 weeks. I certainly wouldn't feed him to the beasts down there next Tuesday when they get down to Houston. That's why Louie Varland time. Let the kid take a shot. Remember what Liriano did in Houston those many years ago when they put him in there against
Clemens.
Clemens.
Yeah, it was Clemens.
And let's run Louie out there and see if he can blow it by him at 99. What the hell? I wouldn't run this guy.
Yeah, and aren't you're going to need for this team? I'm sorry, but who's the guy? The old Aaron Sanchez. I'm sorry, but he's not going to be the guy that pushes you over the top in the second. You're going to need a young guy to come up and give you a boost at some point.
And now they just called up the other kid, the guy they got in the trade, Woods Richardson or Richardson.
Yeah, he's up to AAA now. Yep.
Mm-hmm. By the way, if Reusse was commissioner, no hyphenated names in baseball. He's
just Simeon Woods.
You got to pick one. I don't care which one it is. It can be your maternal name or your paternal name, but 2 names do not fit in the box score. One or the other.
Got to shorten them up.
You can't. You can. On your legal documents, you can lose, but in the baseball world, one or the other. Pal.
So you're not Isaiah Kiner Falefa. You are just Isaiah Kiner.
Yeah.
Or Isaiah Falefa.
Or Falefa, whichever you prefer. I'm not sure. But
IKF.
Yeah, the abbreviations. Just go with
IKF. That's fine with me.
Yeah.
I'm IKF. Nice to meet you, IKF.
So,
Yes,
How about
exactly.
them? The Yankees get like their greatest victory of the season, and then they go to Toronto, and Jose and the boys kicked their ass 9-2 last night, and Barrios went 6 for the first time in a month.
What a weird year
given
he's
up
having.
26 home runs.
Yeah, he's been awful.
Why has he had a great stretch for a while, but he's mostly been bad. I feel like
something's wrong.
But like his career, even his stuff is so much better than the results and the output at this point. Why?
The last non-COVID year was 19.
Mm-hmm.
He started that season, and you thought you were watching the right-handed Santana, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he started throwing some change-ups, and he's one of the most gifted athletic pitchers you're ever going to see. One of the great. He should have won 3 Gold Gloves, but the Gold Gloves goes to more prominent type pitchers. But I don't know what happened to him. He hangs. To me, he hangs too many breaking balls now, and that's how you give up 26 home runs. But I don't know. Didn't you always think, though? The one thing I said about him, and I loved him because he took his turn every day, right? He pitched 200 innings, but the one thing is, when he had that lousy start, it was never isolated. He ended up having. I don't think he could get being bad out of his head. He'd have every August, he'd have 5 lousy starts before he pitched a decent game. I think he's immature emotionally. That's what I think.
Sports psychologist. Sports psychologist.
Let's get a couple. Hypnotist.
Yes. You're getting sleepy. You're pitching no hitters. Hey, I got a question off of and I don't think that this got the attention it should have. So Sonny Gray started Tuesday, right? On Wednesday, Joe Schmidt asked what I was told is a very just easy to respond to question. And Sonny said, basically got this look like, okay, I'm going to tell you something you don't see coming, and started to talk about, I'd like to go deeper into games. I mean, he basically a play-by-play of what a lot of fans have said. And it's one thing for fans to say it, and it's one thing for Smeltzer to, but I think it's a different thing when a guy like Gray does. I think that this is, at some point with at least some of these guys, Patrick, coming to a head. I think that they're tired of this, okay, at 2 o'clock, we decided.
I mean, Gray has not been routinely hooked because he's going to face the lineup for the 3rd time. I'm wondering if he comes in as a wily veteran. Dylan Bundy's there as a veteran.
Yep.
I wonder if he's standing up for Bundy a little bit there and saying, this is nonsense here. This is reading. I'm just kind of reading into that, because Gray, I never felt like Gray was automatically getting the hook, right? Although they were quick to hook him if it was the 3rd time through the order and some trouble started. But I would let Sonny Gray do damn near anything he wants to, because he's your only hope, right?
Yeah.
He's the only hope to win game 1 of a playoff series. So you better.
Well, I did, out of curiosity and boredom on a plane yesterday, I went through on Baseball Reference, and I found that the Twins have allowed their starting pitchers to face the 3rd time through the order the fewest amount of plate appearances of any team in baseball, and it's not even close.
Yeah.
Only 319 plate appearances the 3rd time through the order, and the next team is the Rays at 352. So it's definitely a philosophical Rays thing.
And the Rays still do the opener deal more than any team. They still, so that's the 3rd time through the order is almost off the radar for them. Because they still screw around with their pitching more than anybody. It is amazing to me, though, that 5 years ago, was it 5 years ago now, that the Rays, you heard that the Rays were going to not have 5 starters, that they were going to have an opener?
Yeah.
Remember, in spring training. And I went up to do a column on that from Fort Myers, the novelty of this idea of not having 5 starters, that you were going to, they were going to, and talk to a bunch of old ball guys. And, I remember calling Jim Perry and saying, because he was like a long reliever type of thing. And a couple other guys. But 5 years ago, this was like mind blowing. And now it's, what the hell? Get him out of there. It's the 4th. But you can't complain about thank God they reduced the pitching staffs to 13, because in September we'll be back to, I think you can have as many as you want in September, or at least 14. But thank God they did, because think how quick Rocco would be giving him the hook if he had an extra mediocre arm in that bullpen.
I know. And so I get why they're doing it, because if you then look at, OPS a third time through the order, and the Twins are giving up the second highest OPS third time through the order. The Rays, by the way, are the third best. There's like a 300-point difference between Rays pitchers third time through and Twins pitchers. But here's my question, Pat. There's no you can't just keep doing this unless you have a lights out run of 5 or 6 relievers that are durable and can pitch back to backs and stuff. So did they just do a really bad job of finding pitcher? I mean, Chris Archer isn't durable enough, right?
Part of the reason is Chris Archer has made all but one start, right? And,
yes.
And he's on probation at the end of 3 innings, right? I mean, they've hooked him that early. If you're going to keep running him out there, by almost definition, you're going to have an ungodly number of bullpen innings. And he's the perfect guy to come in the 3rd inning when you're getting hammered. Except it takes a week for him to warm up, because he's had all the arm trouble. So you can't put him in the bullpen. He belongs in the bullpen, but you can't put him in there.
Yeah.
And it's I don't think it's a formula that will sustain itself. I got to call the wily old manager out in Maplewood one of these days and ask him how he's holding up with it. This is the guy who won a World Series by pitching 4 guys. What is it? 78 out of 103 innings or something like that.
Yes.
We had 4 guys pitch 80% of the innings, winning 2 World Series. So it would be interesting to see how he's taking it. I mean, he treated Les Straker as more of an Iron Man than the Twins.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Go get him for the 6th, Les. We don't think you can do it, but we'll give you a shot anyway. So
amazing. All right, we got. I know we got to let you go, and so we'll.
How'd Trey Lance look? Did he play much, Judd?
Yeah, I saw him a ton. He's fine. He's fine on short passes. He has a very weird whip-like hitch on deep routes. When I
saw him last year, I thought there was a bit of a hitch. Yeah.
He comes down, and it's impressive how the ball comes out, but it's taking too long.
Mm-hmm.
It's not Tebow, but it's also not ideal.
Wow, God Almighty! I hope it's not Tebow.
Well, Tebow had that right field throw.
I hope nobody gave up a bunch of number 1.
I'm telling you, there's mechanical problems I saw that I should probably try and work with Trey on.
Okay.
I got plenty of time.
Pat, here's something to throw at Tom Kelly real quick. In 1991, Twins starting pitchers had a better OPS against the 3rd time through than the 2nd time through.
Really?
Why and how?
That's Morris and Tapani, right? And then who's?
Yeah, but what did they? I guess my question would be, what pitch? What were they withholding? What were they? How did they strategically?
That is a very good. I'll call it.
You know what it is? Video. No video back then.
So guys are just like quickly figuring out how to solve the puzzle now.
Yes, exactly.
That's probably what the definition would be. Yeah, I don't know, but maybe a guy like Morris. Okay, I haven't thrown my split finger that much the first 2 times. Now I'm going to throw the splitty, or going back to the fastball or something.
Yeah,
changing your pattern too, or just being good. That
helps.
That's another way. I mean, look at Verlander. Look at
Yes.
Verlander. He's going 7 every time he pitches.
And, so the Mets are among the best pitching staffs 3rd time through the order. Well, that's because they have Scherzer, right?
Yes. Yeah.
When he's healthy, he
missed some time. But, boy, if they're healthy, Scherzer, DeGrom, the rest of those fellas, wow.
Look out. Yep.
DeGrom's unhittable. All right, gents. Have a good weekend.
See you, Pat. All right, let's wrap it with Reusse, presented by Federated. Federated, been around almost as long as Patrick Reusse, over 100 years. And they've been protecting businesses with risk management tools and resources. You can find out all sorts of information about how Federated can help your business at federatedinsurance.com, where it's our business to protect yours.